In the previous video, we saw how easy it was to restore from backup using the wonderful user interface we have with the vSphere data protection appliance. In this video, we will learn to manage replicated backups, which in my mind are one of the most powerful capabilities of this appliance. So in this video, we will define the need for replicated backups, and we will also go through in some detail the process to restore from replicated backup as well. vSphere web client. We're at the vSphere data protection appliance, the very first one that we are running on our 220 vCenter. And what we're going to do is to create replication jobs. So replication tab, replication job actions, new. It's asking us whether to choose to replicate guest images and application backups or replicated backups on this VDP. So what this means is that if this VDP has already has guest images and application backups on it, or has been backing up guest images and applications, then it can then replicate those backups. And then of course it's replicated backups, which means choose whether to replicate replicated backups. So we are choosing guest images because we have the Windows Server 2016 machine that is actually backed up on this VDP, and that's the one we want to move across to our branch site VDP. Click next. So you can try selecting the clients individually. This is the only backup job that is in place. That's the Windows Server 2016 job. We click next. We allow any kind of backup type, daily, weekly, monthly. Obviously you can change all that, or by date restrictions and maximum backups. So a lot of flexibility in exactly what you choose to replicate. I click next. I now need the IP4 or address or the host name of the second VDP. Click next, and the address is 61, and the root and the password is. I will verify the authentication, and the authentication has succeeded. So I click OK. I click next. So now I need to schedule how often the selections are replicated and what time of the day they are to be replicated. Now this is important because you don't want the replication to be happening at the same time that the sources are being backed up. So we need to make sure that the window is such for these replication of backups, so it happens after the backups have been completed. So that's what one would do in real life in a production environment. I have the backup running at 8 p.m. for my Windows Server 2016. So I'm going to say that on a daily basis, start at 10 o'clock. So we'll give it, we'll make it 9 o'clock because I think it only takes about 5 or 6 minutes to back up. So that so 8 o'clock, the backup will begin, and then 9 o'clock, the replication of the backup will begin. I click next, and we'll keep the current expiration for each backup so they are consistent. So if it expires on the first VDP, it will expire here as well. But obviously here you have the option of actually keeping your replicated backups off-site forever, or you can expire them after a couple of years perhaps, because you can say yearly backups expire in 2 years or something like that. So we'll just say keep the current expiration, and we click next. The replication job name from host, well, we'll call it VDP, from VDP1. I click next. Now this message keeps coming up. It is recommended to use the replicate user account for replication, and the reason is because it's not good to use root always, and the replicate user account keeps the credentials in sync with the root. So when I've changed root credentials, that'll be the replicate user credentials as well. Well, I have not done that, but that is obviously what one would do. Okay, so the destination is the second VDP. We have selected one backup. Any kind of backup that I do on that, it will be replicated, and it will be scheduled daily at 9 p.m. and I click finish, and that will create the replication job. As you can see, the replication job was created successfully. I click OK. So the name of the job, it's in enabled state. Destination is the second VDP at our branch site. It's never been run, and the next runtime is next day at 9 p.m. Only one client, and we can show the item. That's Windows Server 2016. So all looks good. Well, we have the option to replicate now, so why not? I will click on replicate now. I'm back at the replicate. I did not press the button properly because I should get this drop down, so I'm going to replicate all the sources. Okay, no job was selected. I have to select this job, and I need to replicate now, replicate all sources. And now we get the message I was looking for, which is a replication request or requests issued successfully. And now you can see when we monitor the job on the sending vCenter server, we see that the VDP replication job source task is running, status is running, and we shall pause until it actually completes. So here it is, vSphere data protection, replication task has begun. So that replication of the backup has actually started, and that's the way one configures, initiates those jobs. I think I saw about 4% complete, but we will pause the recording until it is done. Let's look at this for a few more seconds and look at the status here. It tells us the percentage. So that's 58% complete at this point in time. It's taken about 20 minutes to get there. It should be getting pretty close to 92%, it seems. So we're back in our VDP, and we're looking at the job details for replication. And you can see that the client Windows Server 2016 image type backup, the job is from VDP1. This is the replication of the backup, was completed with a successful result, and it is next scheduled for 9/20/2016 at 9 p.m. So this is how one replicates a backup to a second VDP running at a remote site. In our case, it ran at the branch site. Since the replication of the backup for Windows Server 2016 succeeded, we are again in the VDP that's running at headquarters. What we want to look at now is to look at the Restore tab and look at this option here, Recover Replicated Backup. So I've selected the Windows Server 16 and I click on Recover Replicated Backups, which means that the VDP is now going to find out where those replicated backups are and give us information about that. So let's take a look at that. So we have to select a remote destination from an existing replication job, or we need to specify a new remote destination. In our case, we have a replication job already there in place that just completed successfully for Windows Server 2016. So I will select a destination to use from an existing replication job. If not, then again you have to specify the IP address and the username, password, and the path where the replicated backup is for the remote VDP. So I will select a destination from an existing job. That's the job from VDP1 that we recently completed successfully. We have to verify authentication first. And authentication has succeeded. I click OK. Now I can click on Next. Now it's loading the data of the clients that were replicated. And as you can see, the Windows Server 16 is now available at the remote site. So if I click on this twisty here and expand it, you can see it'll give us those same backups as we have available out on the headquarters site. So all those backups that were done for Windows Server 2016 have now been replicated across to the branch office. And in case anything ever happens to the backups that are at headquarters, we can restore from there. So as an example, I can click on this version. That's the latest one. I click on Next. And what it is saying is that it'll review the following selected items. Click Finish to initiate the recovery request. So basically, it's going to recover that, and we are going to click on Finish. And it is sending the recover request. So we're in the vSphere web client, and we're looking at the VDP at our branch site. When we look at the Restore tab, you see this folder called Replicate, and its backup types are replicated. When I expand this, they are from VDP60, which is our headquarters site, and the Windows Server 2016, and these are all the backups that have been replicated to the branch server VDP. So the backup types are replicated. The same 5 that were existing on the headquarters site VDP have been replicated up here as well. Now we can restore from any one of these. So I've selected the first one, press restore, click next, and it'll load some restore options. So the new name of the machine will be this, and we will change it a little bit. We'll say WinServer 16 and then say restored from replica, and we'll choose a destination. We'll just put it in 221. That is our branch site on that server. Okay, so that's the destination. Let's look at the advanced options. I can specify what data store, but in this case there's only one data store on that 210 server, which is my branch server. And what I can say is I want it powered on, but I maybe do not want to connect the NIC. We can always go into the console, but let's not reconnect the NIC, just power it on, and we'll use that as our verification. And when I click next, it'll say one virtual machine will be restored, one will be created, and when I click finish, the restore is initiated. So what we have done is we have restored from a replicated backup at the branch server. We are restoring the Windows Server 2016 at the branch site. Now we should go into the vCenter servers. Look at 221, that's the server. Let's do a monitor, the tasks. This is the vCenter server at the branch site. And we can see that WinServer 16 restored from replica is reconfigured, and is this activity is happening. The VDP restore job is underway. So it is restoring at the branch site from a replica of the backup that was at the branch. So even if the headquarters site is down, it doesn't really matter. We've been able to restore that WinServer 16 machine at our branch site, which is the whole idea behind replicating backups. And so we are back here at the vSphere web client. I decided to check after some time as to the status of our restoration of the Windows Server 2016, and I'm in the branch office vCenter 221, and as you can see here, Windows Server 2016 restored from replica is now powered on and up and running. So basically, if you recall, the process we went through was to first set up the replication of backups from headquarters to the branch. When all that was complete, we also then created a job to restore at the 221 branch office site, and we restored from the replicas of the backups that had been copied over or replicated over to the branch office. So a very powerful way to restore at a disaster recovery site, because you really don't have to worry about too much as long as the synchronization of the backups and the synchronization of the replication of the backups is done properly. By that I mean that we need to make sure the backups are complete before the replication of the backups begins. So make sure there's plenty of time for the backups to complete, and when you're sure the backups are complete, the scheduling of the replication of the backup should be done according to that. So some amount of fine-tuning is required depending on your network and the latency of the network, the bandwidth, and so on. So after learning how to configure replicated backups, in the next video we will be covering file level restores. I look forward to seeing you there.